Welcome to Cape Ann Report. I'm Maureen Aylward, your host. Cape Ann Report is a weekly program that looks at insights and information about what's happening on Cape Ann. For this show, I'm speaking with Ed Becker, president of the Essex County Greenbelt Association, and we're going to find out what's happening on these beautiful properties. Ed, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. People see the signs when you ride up 128 and you come over, turn the corner there off the bridge, and you see or before the bridge, and there's an Essex County Greenbelt sign right there at the property where the ocean is, the little inlet. And there's so many beautiful properties on Cape Ann that are part of the Essex County Greenbelt.
That's right. In fact, you described our Stony Cove reservation right there along the highway.
Yeah.
Beautiful property that was acquired about 40 years ago. And that's what Greenbelt does. We're a nonprofit land conservation trust headquartered in Essex, but working throughout the region with a long history on Cape Ann. And we work with landowners. We work in conjunction with our cities and towns to help acquire land to keep it in open space and in perpetuity for conservation purposes. So we're looking at land that's important to save because it's in active farming, so to really help maintain that base of local agriculture, healthy local foods. Land that's important to save because it's some form of wildlife habitat, scenic landscapes, access places for the public to use and enjoy. And then, as our name suggests, we're always looking at opportunities to create green belts, so these connected green spaces of land.
Right. Well, there's no more important work, I think, than conservation, certainly, and land conservation. And tell us a little bit about some of the properties so our viewers might be able to recognize them and where they are sprinkled about.
Yeah. Well, Greenbelt's been involved now in the protection of about 16,000 acres. And so we have dozens of properties in the area, but just a couple of examples of recent acquisitions. One is called the Norcross Gateway. So it's right off of the Concord Street exit off 128. And folks that have been down there in the last year or so probably have noticed a big change in what used to be a little commuter parking area.
Yeah.
And now there's a nice split rail fence and there's a trailhead there with signage. And so that's a property that had been in the market and Greenbelt was able to purchase it in conjunction with the city to create this new entryway to our Thompson Street reservation, which is our largest reservation on Cape Ann. It's over 300 acres, loaded with trails. So if you walk through there, you'll quickly come across a boardwalk and then connect up to these miles of great hiking on that property.
Yeah, that area has gone through such a transformation. It's a beautiful way you come off at the Wingishick exit, and it's right there.
Yeah,
so,
it really is a transformation. So it's an example of just a local and recent acquisition. Another one is what we call Annisquam Woods. So that's off of Washington Street and Revere and Hutchins Court, and property that had been slated for development a bunch of years ago, sat there idle, and we were able to acquire it again in conjunction with the city and a lot of private donations, and that's over 30 acres. So we're working right now to create a new parking area off of Hutchins Court, a new trailhead, and that's going to allow people to go in there, hike the trails, and it connects up to miles and miles of the northern Gloucester Woods and eventually Dogtown. So we're always looking at those spaces that create those connections and great places for the public to use. And all of the Greenbelt properties are open every day, free of charge. So
you don't have to be a member?
And you do not have to be a member. We are a membership organization. We'd love to have the support of members. In fact, they provide about 60% of our budget. So it's terrific having that involvement, that support, but it's not at all required. We open up our properties to the public free of charge.
How do you find out about land acquisitions? You've been mentioning a couple of them that were dormant or vacant, and you came along and did these acquisitions. How do you find out about them?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have a database where we're always trying to keep track of properties that are important to us or maybe important to the communities. And so we'll collect information on where those properties are, who the landowners are. We'll reach out to those landowners so they get to know us and they get to know the fact that we might be there, and if they're interested in conservation, either by gift or by purchase, they might be able to work with us. So it's an inventory, it's establishing priorities throughout the region, and through that process we've launched a new campaign called the Campaign for 10,000 Acres, where we've identified 10,000 of some of the best remaining acreage throughout the region, and we're working hard to try to save that much land over the next decade.
We'll keep our fingers crossed that
Thank
that
you.
goal is reached. You have programs also, Essex County Greenbelt Association that has programs that go all through the year. What's coming up?
Sure, thank you. So we do have walks on our properties every month of the year, 1 or 2 walks per month. And so folks go to our website. There's always information on those walks that are coming up. So for example, we have a walk coming up in December called Winter Hiking 101. So it's going to be at our headquarters property at the Allen Cox Reservation in Essex. And it's just an opportunity to get folks out on a winter's day, but also some good advice in terms of what kind of footwear to have and so on as you walk on trails under snowy or icy conditions. So that's coming up.
Hopefully there'll be snow.
And hopefully there'll be some snow and maybe
Yeah.
even a chance for some cross-country skiing. So,
Right.
an example of the kind of program we offer on a regular basis. Also, we're going to be having a winter film and lecture series beginning in January, also hosted at our Allen Cox Reservation.
And where is that?
And that's on Route 133 in Essex, so right next to Farmer's Clams. Everyone can find us there. That farmhouse set in the back, and it's about a 30-acre property right along the salt marsh. So it's a terrific place to come and visit.
Yeah, that
and
is a beautiful
open
spot.
every day and nice trails there. So right at our headquarters is a conference room, and we'll be having this lecture series and films with an ocean theme. So about the sea, about ocean critters or salt marsh, wildlife like piping plovers. So a series of 5 of those talks and films.
And you have a series coming up that is addressing sea level rise?
That's right. So Greenbelt's part of the Great Marsh Coalition, and so every year the coalition sponsors a sea level rise symposium. And this year's is going to be on Thursday, the November 17th, a week from this coming Thursday, at the function room at Woodman's in Essex. And so we bring together over 100 people, and it's public, it's municipal officials, it's scientists, and talk about what's happening by way of planning for adaptation to sea level rise. A lot of municipalities are engaged in that right now.
Critical for our area, certainly.
Critical. It's absolutely happening, and as many people know, our oceans are rising at a greater pace here in the Gulf of Maine than they are in most other parts of the world.
That's right.
And so it's something that everyone recognizes, and so there's a lot of planning to begin to adapt for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a way to showcase some of that, to provide some programs and information to folks as to what is happening by way of trying to protect our coastlines, protect our natural resources, and really begin to incorporate what's called green infrastructures in that planning, to look at the fact that we have incredible coastal salt marshes and so on. So how do we begin to work with that nature in order to help guard against, create that buffer, if you will,
Right.
to
Natural solutions are
natural
always
solutions,
best.
right, exactly, to storms, surges, and things of that sort.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a fascinating program.
Should be a good program,
that's great.
day-long event. Yep.
Yeah, it's a day-long event on Thursday, November
November 17th.
17th.
And I hope I
Great.
have that date right.
Well, what else do you have on your docket? Monthly programs that people can check out on the website? And
Sure, exactly. Go to the website. There's always something going on throughout the year. It's a brand new program that Greenbelt's involved in, and it's really been spearheaded by a group called the Cape Ann Trail Stewards. And this is a really exciting new
Right.
program with CATA, the Cape Ann Transit Authority, where folks can get on the bus and they'll see a map on the bus that will bring you to up to 10 different places for walking and hiking and nature observation and so on. So it's a circuit, and you just need to let the bus driver know you want to be dropped off and can get to that trailhead and get to that property. So we call it Transit to Trails.
Transit
So
to Trails is
Transit
great.
Trail.
And that's mostly in Gloucester. So it's
In
in the
Gloucester,
loop.
right. Yes, exactly. There's 10 properties, 3 of which are Greenbelt properties, but there's properties owned by other organizations, city land, and so on. So again, it's a way to just get out there and not have to get into your car, and if you don't have a car, just to be able to rely on the bus to get out to these great places to walk.
Yeah,
So-
it's great getting people into mass transit. And as I was saying before we came on the air, that it's similar to Mount Desert has a bus program that goes to these different stops along the way.
Right.
And it's very similar. So it's wonderful to add this to the dynamic mix of things to do up here in Cape Ann.
I agree, and there was a couple weeks ago, an inaugural event at Greenbelt's Sanefield property off Farrington Avenue, and the mayor was there, and it was just a nice time to have a bunch of folks there. A group of seniors came up on the bus from the Rose Baker Center, and a real great kickoff to this new program offered by the bus service.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to hear about that. In the osprey program, the osprey nest that's out there in the marsh in Essex, it's very popular. Do you still have the webcam? And
Of course, yes. Thank you. It's we're very happy with the Osprey program initiative that's been going on for about a dozen years now. An effort to really build platforms to create nest space and to really start to do a lot of the citizen science work to understand what's happening with ospreys and really help to reintroduce that population to the region. As you know, like eagles and other raptors, ospreys were pretty much decimated by DDT.
That's right,
about 40, 50 years ago. And when DDT was outlawed, we started to see a slow reemergence of the osprey population. So Greenbelt has had this program, a combination again of building platforms, understanding the science, and we just hosted the first ever New England-wide Osprey Symposium, also at Woodman's, and we had over 100 folks come from all over New England who were both scientists and citizens who were working on this program of really enabling this wonderful species of birds to make it their home here and to be successful.
yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah.
So we've seen a real increase in the numbers of nesting pairs, so the population is on the upswing, so it's very encouraging. You mentioned our webcam, so at our headquarters property in Essex, we have a nest platform there and with a camera, and unfortunately we have not had a successful nest in the last 2 seasons, but when we have had success there, it's been a great thing for folks to watch, of the ospreys coming in, building the nest, laying the eggs, watching the eggs hatch, and then fledge. And one of the aspects of the program that relates to that nest is a couple years ago with one of our successful fledged ospreys. We worked with a scientist from the University of North Carolina, put a transmitter on the osprey, and have watched the migration of that osprey, who's decided to spend his winters down in Cuba.
Oh.
And so you can go on our website, go on the osprey page, and you can follow the progress and the journey of this osprey as it migrates north and south. And just recently headed back south and is back in Cuba for the winter season, but we'll watch his return to Essex next spring.
That's fascinating and wonderful that you're doing all of these different programs and these interactive events like the webcam, and just the ability for people to get outside is just so critical these days, and especially having winter programs. It's wonderful that we have this resource here in Cape Ann.
Well, we're happy to be a part of that, and as we all know, this is an incredible part of the world, and we really want to encourage people to get outside, enjoy it, get to know it, and do whatever we can to help encourage and support that.
Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and I hope that folks will be able to get out there, get outside, and do this transit to trails, and get on the bus, and go have a winter picnic, right?
Exactly. Look for all the ways to enjoy our great outdoors in the region.
And check out the Sea Level Rise Symposium and the other programs that you have coming up, the film series, which is a wonderful thing to do in the evenings. Of course, the winter's dark and long in these areas, and
Right.
maybe not so it's cold anymore, but it's a great resource here again. So Ed, thank you so much for speaking with us on Cape Ann Report. Please have a chance to get out and check out the Essex Greenbelt trails. Until the next time on Cape Ann Report, take care.